All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming to the Project Copacetic lightning talk. Quick show of hands. Who likes CVEs in container images? Who does not like CVEs in container images? Wow. So I asked the question wrong. All right. So Copacetic is a tool to directly patch vulnerabilities in container images. How does it do that? Well, it does that by being a Buildkit-based CLI tool that knows how to interpret scanner results, so something like Trivy or Gripe, identify vulnerable packages within those reports, use the package managers for the underlying distribution for the container, generate a new patch layer and apply that on top of the existing container. And it can do this without actually having the tooling in the container. So if you have a distroless container, for example, Copa is actually able to patch that. Copa is a CNCF sandbox project. You can go check it out today. I'll have a link to the GitHub repo at the end, and it's pretty easy to get going with. By default, Copa uses the Trivy scanning software, but it also supports pluggable scanners. So Gripe is one, Docker Scout is also available. If you have another tool that you're interested in, we would totally like to have community contributions for those things. So how does Copa actually work? Well, there's two modes that you can use Copa with. The first is what I just mentioned, where you're going to use a vulnerability scanning tool like Trivy to be able to identify vulnerabilities that are in the project. But Copa can actually work without that and just scan the container for any updated packages that exist in the package manager for the underlying OS. Let's say it's going to be Ubuntu, and just install all package updates. Maybe a little less surgical than taking a scan report and going with that, but maybe it's a good use case for you. So what typically would happen here is that you would generate a vulnerability report using Trivy, using Gripe. Then you would pass that into Copa. So number two, Copa would parse that, identify all the vulnerabilities, and then take those things and look for new packages that are available. Then using Buildkit under the covers, it's going to generate a new file system layer using the old image layers together. It will then use, if it's going to be an RPM-based system, it'll use RPM. If it's Ubuntu, it'll use deb or apt-get, and install those updated packages into that new file system layer, and then calculate the difference between what's there and what was in the container before, and generate you a brand new patch layer just on top of that. So you have basically the old container with a brand new layer on top of it with just the updates that you've asked for, either from the scanning report or from the just update everything kind of Wild West approach. So recently, there have been some cool new improvements in Copa. First one I want to mention is that there is now support for Alma Linux. There's quite a wide support for most RPM-based distributions, Ubuntu, a number of other distributions. Alma Linux is a brand new one that has just landed, so if you're using Alma-based containers, Copa will now help you out. Community scanner plugins are also a pretty new contribution, not directly in the project. We're working kind of with an ecosystem for this, but you can find Gripe and Docker Scout as examples for that. It also has new tag suffix support. So generally, when you build a new container with Copa, it's going to emit the same image with a patched suffix on the tag. It's now customizable, and you can make that work however you basically want. The tooling images are now mirrored to GCHR, or GitHub Container Registry. Who likes Docker Hub rate limits? I think that's not a very fun one. So these images have now been mirrored to GitHub Container Registry, so you should be free of those kind of inconveniences. And then finally, there's better logging support for held packages. So you can do some things inside of your containers to block upgrading certain packages. There's better support inside of Copa for that now. A couple of cool upcoming things. Right now, it works very specifically on an image. So you're going to build Ingress Nginx version 1.12.1. If you're going to patch multiple images, you're going to run Copa multiple times. If you're going to do it for multiple architectures, you'll also do it multiple times. But coming soon, you will be able to do both multi-architecture and bulk image patching with Copa in a much improved developer experience. If you'd like to talk more about Copa, please come see us at the Project Pavilion kiosk number 20B on Wednesday between 10:45 and 1500. We'd love to talk to you, give you some demos, and answer any questions you have. You can also find us on GitHub. I added a QR code here so you can find the repo. We're also on the CNCF Slack. Happy to answer any questions or talk about Copa. Thanks.